All right. Oh man, look, my cat just came out here. This knucklehead that snuck out here. Hey, come here. Get back in here. Get have kids. So uh, we're here another week. This is week 9, correct? We're in week 9. And it seems like every week we have done this, there's been some joy, but there's also been something that has been burdening us down as people of color. And it seemed like just when we were just kind of settling in on what happened with Brother Aubrey, um, now we got George Floyd, and we also have some local trauma with some of our children here in Philadelphia with guns. And so it's one thing my CEO had said, uh, we can't normalize something that's not normal. And so we have to, we can't treat this as an everyday thing. I believe we're seeing more attention on the media, but this is something that has happened since the beginning of time for us as people of color. And it always puts me in this weird space because you don't know what to do. Just when you think you're doing something, whether it's our storytelling, our protesting, teaching, whatever we're doing, you know, we all have a lane, we all have a place in this fight. But then something like this happens, and it makes it feel like that what you're doing is not working. And I'm here to remind us that we need to stay in our positions. This isn't the time to get discouraged. You know your lane, you know your calling, and we know we are griots, and that is a calling that impacts every part of the community. And we may not see how we fit in this bigger picture when things like that happen, but a part of it is we have to tell the story and share our glory. And one of the things I've learned to do when something like that happens, and it's going to continue to happen, let's just be honest, this isn't the end. Um, I find myself getting depressed. I find myself getting upset. There's rage, there's vengeance, there's all of that. But the best thing we can do in those moments is take care of ourselves the best way we know how. I went out and rode a bike. I have some friends, one of my friends called me, and when she gets in this space, all she wants to do is just be around Black people. And so whatever mode it is of self-care that you can do, that's the best thing we can do for that brother and sister that's been murdered. Take our own lives and live it the best we can. So I'm encouraging you. Some of us, we're still feeling this. You know, we're seeing the updates on what's going on. That it's sometimes you just gonna have to turn off what you're seeing. Um, Sometimes you can see so much and it can just be discouraging. So sometimes when you see that, I'm encouraging you. It's okay to turn off the TV. It's okay to turn off the radio. It's okay to turn off that social media and reground yourself because there's still a fight. And the worst thing you can do is go into a fight not ready. So we have to remind ourselves that we may not always be on the front line of the protest. We may not always be in the court system or at the police department demonstrating, but we do have a place in this fight. And the fight that we have, it's a fighting in the way that empowers us, that usurps any type of corruption, oppression, or racism that can ever happen. No matter what you do to us, our story never changes. You can never undo a story. Once it's there, the glory always remains. And as griots, we have to remind ourselves that's our job, is to keep telling the story and sharing the glory, reminding us, reminding the people who we are. We are resilient, we are strong, we are mighty, and we're beautiful. We are beautiful. We have been through so much that would have wiped out an entire been genocide for from some ethnic groups. And yet you find us in every part of the world. You find us all throughout history. We are the cradle of civilization, and we never forget who we are. I remember a line from our poem telling the stories of who we are. And Ashe. Mama,
that's so nice. I'm glad you recorded that, Oni.
Yes.
That sounds like an intro to something, Paul.
Yes, maybe to read the poem. Anybody has the poem he's talking about?
I got it, but I can't put my hand on it right now.
She said.
I know we should have it memorized.
It's Wanda's poem. I have it, but I can read it another time. I'd like to welcome Michele Washington-Wilson.
Hello.
Hey. Hey.
Hi, Michele. Welcome. Thank you for the welcome and greetings, everyone. So it's good to see your beautiful faces.
Yes, yes.
And Paul, that was definitely an inspirational message.
Thank you.
And you know what? It shows true leadership, because in times like these, as you can see, we never know when we're going to be called upon to make that statement for our community.
That's right.
You just, and when that camera's pointed in your face, you are making a statement for our community. So I applaud you, Brother Paul, for being prepared, because as an educator, somebody might show up at your door. It could be, you know, the Action News. We must be prepared. We have the voice of our community. Our community, they'd be like, well, you're the storyteller. Where were you? So I'm going to mute myself before I go there.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to, what we usually do if we have new storytellers or people we invite on, we invite them to share a little story about themselves. It doesn't have to be anything too long. And then we all go around in the order that we appeared, and we tell a story or share whatever we want to do. And then we come back to our guests and we hear and see what their input is. And they want, you know, it's sort of like going in a circle. The circle never ends. So thank you, Michele. I want to tell everyone that Michele is a professional storyteller. I met her a few years back at the New Jersey Storytelling Festival. And as soon as we saw each other, it was love at first sight. Because you know how we be up in them festivals, we be looking for ourselves.
We be looking for one, if I can find one.
we be looking for ourselves, okay?
Yes.
So we just connected since then. That's been a few years ago. And we've, Michele had me over her home on a little gig I had in Jersey. And also she's in Cape May, right? Mays Landing. And we have Brother Adrian over here. Where are you from, Adrian?
You need to unmute, Adrian.
I did, I tried, but he won't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't unmute people if they mute themselves. It's hard for me to.
Oh, I mute myself? Can you hear me now?
Yes. What
Okay,
part of
I'm
Jersey
from Patterson.
Patterson.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, so Michelle's from Mays Landing. I must say she's quite a historian of the culture of how Africans in America migrated up to her area. She's called on to do historical reenactments also. And she's just a wonderful person to know. So I've been trying to get her to join COATSY for the longest time. But we'll get everything in its time.
Yes.
So we want to welcome you tonight.
Thank you.
Also, Irma showed up, Storytelling Irma. And
Hi.
we're going to go around.
Hi, Irma. Step away for 30 seconds.
All right. And then, so we're going to start off with Mama Birdie, since she showed up. Mama Birdie, you want to share anything? Did you have a story?
No, I don't. I'm just here to listen and learn.
I do have a poem.
I'm glad. I'm glad I'm here. I would. I could say that. George Floyd. His family. They're in my prayers. They're in my thoughts, and I'm praying that that we do see this case. I'm glad the officer was arrested, the murderer. I'm glad he was arrested, but I'm with the family in the sense that I think it should be first-degree murder. But I'm praying that the things will
Justice
we'll see
will be
justice.
served.
Yes, I'm praying that yes, justice will be served.
For real, for real.
And that's all. I'm really here to listen and learn tonight.
Okay. Well, next we have Mama Carla. Thanks, Birdie.
She's muted.
Okay. Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Oh, good. Now we see you.
I actually, just before I got on here, I was asked by a friend of ours in the arts, Melissa Talley Palmer,
Oh.
to be a part of some programming that she has coming up, storytelling programming for the community of Albany where I live, which is, really a blessing. But also, she asked me to share some not so good news, but it's something that we all to ask for everybody's prayers and good vibes. I don't know how many of you all know him, but her son Mark is incarcerated right now.
Oh no.
He's also having a mental health crisis. He was in a situation where someone was killed.
Oh my God. Oh.
And he's going to need all our love and all our prayers right now. They think that it was a matter of him being drugged. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And she asked me, I told her that I was coming on this meeting, and she asked me to share as soon as she sends me, she has a document and stuff that she asked me to share with the keepers, because she needs all of our help to tell her son's story. He's one of our artist babies. He grew up in the arts. He's a drummer, he's a dancer, all around lovely young man, and he needs all our love and all our care and support. But I wanted to end on sharing a poem that I wrote a while ago. With a spoonful of liberty, their writing set my ancestors free, if you could call it truly free. They didn't know just a spoonful of liberty. My ancestors planted me like cotton and mustard seed with a spoonful of liberty. With just a pinch of real democracy, they convinced my children that they were free, as they stripped them of their right to be with guns and lies and anarchy. They demand we protect our identity as we swallow their hypocrisy. The truth we whisper quietly as lies are posted on every tree. And me and mine, they mow us down like common weeds, with no idea that we are seeds that incubate like baobab trees with roots that reach from sea to sea. If you cut us down, we'll fall, we'll bleed, till that fine day when you think you succeed and we grow even stronger than you believe. With just a spoonful of liberty, my seed and I will outlast thee. I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful,
Yes,
Carla.
yes.
That's in honor of my Mark. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was brilliant. Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Queen Nzinga.
Oh, I'm not really ready to show myself yet, but I'll say the poem if you guys will allow me to do that without showing myself.
I want to see.
I know. I got a few adjustments to make, y'all. Can y'all come back to me then? Hello?
What?
I'm in a cosmic space right now. Can y'all come back to me?
I guess so. I can see if Michele, unmute yourself, please.
Yes, hi. Sorry I had to step away for a moment, and
Okay.
I will keep that family in prayer about their situation with their son. I know what it's like to have a child in distress.
Yeah.
So,
I'll do it.
and a brother and a sister and a mother and a father. So, you know, like they say, if you're not going through a storm, you either just came out of a storm or you're approaching a
Ready to go
storm.
into one.
But we have the strength of the ancestors. We can look back on the journey that they came through, and we can say, well, if they got through that, we can get through this. So thank you, Sister Oni, for bringing us together, hosting on behalf of COATSE, and thank you, COATSE members, for inviting us for storytelling. I do have a poem I'd like to share with you this evening. It is some original poetry, and I do want to share with you that there's going to be a line about my brother Sammy. My brother Sammy was killed by the police in Vineland, New Jersey in 1989. So, and it was a similar situation of what's going on now. There was a riot. Dan Quaylar got his nose broke. You know, that made the news. And anyway, so this is it's called a poem of libation, and it's also a tribute to those who have gone before us. When we first arrived on New Jersey shores, no light was lit by the golden door. We built, we farmed, and we survived. Between then and now, countless have died. We stopped for a moment in each celebration to remember the ancestors and pour libations. To the ports of Perth Amboy and Camden we came, high-spirited people bound in chains, from Skunk Hollow hillsides to the Cape May shore. We slaved 200 years or more, and down through the years our blood was spilled. We have died for causes, and for no cause were killed. Call out the name of Charity Still, a woman determined, strong-minded, strong-willed. She marched with 2 daughters out of slavery to be reunited with her husband, Levin, now free. 2 sons were born in their time, abolitionist William Still and James Still, the Black Doctor of the Pines. For those brothers who fought and died in the Revolutionary War, the littlest Jocko lighting the way for George Washington and Salem Poor. And to those who gloried for the Union and now have forever ceased, let them be laid to rest in Ambury Hill, and may they rest in peace. In 1865, with great anticipation, the power came in words, Emancipation Proclamation. For those ancestors who paved a roadway with tears, the highway to heaven through the lynch mob years, from fields to factories, fishing rivers, bogging streams, through Robeson's trials and Garvey's dreams, the spirit of our ancestors still live on. In the rhythm of Count Basie and Sarah Vaughan, for the migrants the Port Norris, Shell Pile daughters, Bridgeton, Gould Town sons, singing on the waters. For those brothers and sisters who, like a torch, were extinguished in 5 fiery days in Newark. The bombing and burning of Asbury Park leaves mourning scars etched in our hearts. For those who die for industry's sake, like Trenton, we make, the world takes. For the he whose power, who flowed like an ocean, the emperor himself, athlete, scholar Paul Robeson. So many heroes, their songs unsung. For my brother Sammy, yeah, he was one. For all those young brothers who went out and went down, they went out one evening and never came around. For those little babies in unmarked graves who never had a chance because they were born with AIDS. For all of the ancestors, let's just call out their names.
Yeah.
And remember their guidance and the way that they came. Tomorrow is the legacy they left us to carry on. We've got the power from the past, and the power is strong. Let the power from their journey keep on moving through. Let that power be the power in you.
Mm. Whoa. 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 Whoa.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I feel the power. I feel
Wow.
the power.
Wow.
That was beautiful.
That was
What a
awesome,
history
Wow.
lesson. What a
And that's also my legacy to people of the Black people in Jersey who've been here
Yeah.
documented since 1664.
That leaves me speechless. That leaves me speechless.
What a great history. Thank you so much for that.
Wow.
And the power
Thank
is in
you,
us.
Michele.
Thank you, my beautiful sister.
Yeah.
What a great history lesson. I remember when the history of Ashbury Park getting burnt.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Asbury Park, Patterson, Newark, and this is not the first time we've taken to the streets.
Elizabeth,
Oh, no.
Jersey City.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Ashe, Trenton,
Mhm.
Camden,
Camden, yeah.
Harlem.
Yeah.
Watts,
Yeah, that's a wonderful poem.
Rosewood.
Yeah. Oh,
We have a
please.
whole lesson just on
Lehigh
that corner.
Avenue in North Philly.
Yes.
Osage.
Yeah,
Oh.
Osage.
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 Who's
And they
that boy?
finally admitted that they were wrong.
I saw the former mayor's statement.
Finally.
I heard him on NPR talking about, it wasn't his order to bomb move.
He wasn't even in the city. He was in New York.
Who?
And people forget that. You know, it just, the whole thing was horrible.
It was horrible.
I'm
And the
so
fact that they
sorry about
defended
your
it.
brother Sammy.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
What
You
person
know,
was he?
his son was about 5 years old. This happened in 1989. And his son grew up with this desire to retaliate. And then when his son had a son, I said, do you want your son to grow up with that in his heart? Because they're gonna take you down if you try to take them down. So that's gonna happen. You saw what happened to your father. It was bad. It was really bad. However, I will say this, and I'm not really prepared to make a statement or anything like that, but now we're seeing there was a background story between the officer and the brother. That was the same situation with my brother. It was not a coincidence that the person who shot my brother, that police officer, they had a history going back to the football, what do you call those teams? Football team in Violet High School. So, you know, we don't always know the background story. Sometimes you can see in that police officer's eyes, he had it in for that brother. That was personal. That was personal. I mean, it impacts us all, but you know, and then the rest of the way they all stood around. I mean, listen, I went to Vineland High School, and the name of the teams at Vineland High School to this day is the Klan.
Wow.
Yeah. They say it's the poultry Klan, but I have seen a lot of chickens in my day. I'm from South Jersey. Okay? I ain't never seen no chickens in no white robes with no hoods, you know, on their head.
Right.
Okay? So
Right.
don't bring the chickens into this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you. I feel you.
Yeah, the Klan. And it still exists to this day.
Oh, they're proud of their ignorance.
Well, the president leads them in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to really get into him because that's a whole nother thing going on.
Exactly.
But and we are all aware, as long as we're all aware, you know, there's ways we can figure out how we can care, you know, really care. Paul wants to share a poem. Thank you so much, Michele. I would have paid to hear you tell that piece right there.
It's not too late.
I hear you, Queen. Go ahead.
Wait, I can pass the bucket right now. Here we go.
Close don't get fed.
That's right.
I asked for that one. I asked for that.
Yeah.
I should have known.
And you know my address, Oni.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Paul. Paul says he has a poem for us.
I'm going to say this inside because, you know, they on the fight.
Yeah, we're picking up a lot of background noise from you, Paul.
I'm moving inside because they're on these bikes.
A lot of background noise.
It's those bikes. Hold on.
It's a lot. What happened to Irma?
Is this better?
Does anybody know what happened to Irma? Yes, that's better.
Yeah, I came inside. They're on those bikes, and they're going to be running those all, you know, as soon as it's any degree over 45 degrees, they're on those bikes. So we're inside now. I have a poem. I have a friend back in Indianapolis. Her name is Lisa Devin. And have you ever been to like an open mic and there's always this artist that's like so nervous, like a timid church mouse, and they're so scared to get on the mic and everything. And then they get up there with original work and just blow your mind. And I love it when I can see somebody who has that humility but packs so much power with their craft. And this is how I met Lisa. My best friend Matt was hosting a weekly open mic on Sunday evenings. And she went and, you know, she said she set out a place, you know, she's this working mom at a Starbucks barista, and, you know, she writes poems on the side, you know, so she's like, I got this little thing here. And when she read her poetry, it was just mind blowing. And so I kind of just reached out to her because she was new to the art community. She really hadn't engaged in the art community. So I'm like, oh, I have a studio, you know, you can come by, and, you know, and whenever I would see her, I would introduce her to other artists because I'm like, she's good. And so people used to use my studio space to host events. And so she was the last person that hosted an event before I moved to Philly. She had never had her own show. And I said, all this great poetry you have, you should have a show, like during the open house for the art building. And she was like, are you sure? I was like, yes. I'm like, we'll make a flyer, invite everybody out. Like, this is your thing. I'm like, I know you got enough poems. So she did it and she loved it. And to make a long story short, a few years ago, she sent me this book. She had finally published her poem. And it's called Gems from the Bargain Bin. And so
What's it called?
It's called Gems from the Bargain Bin. So like when you're shopping, the bargain bin, Gems from the Bargain Bin.
Oh, that's a cool title.
And so she writes a lot of poetry about being a mother raising her kid as a single mother. And you know, well, I don't know personally, but I've heard, you know, those moments as a parent when your children just getting on your nerves and you just don't want to be bothered with them.
Yeah.
She wrote a funny poem about that, about her child, and you know, it's in context. You know, it's one of those moments where you gotta vent when kids are getting on your nerves. And she's a very awesome parent, but this poem always makes me laugh. She calls it The Destroyer.
Give me some water, please.
All right, here we go. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. If you have a kid who's a destroyer, boy, I feel sorry for you. This is what you tell them. The reason I don't take you places, it's not because I'm broke. It's because everywhere we go, something gets broke. You take my things without asking, break them, and your guilt you're masking, and my success you're basking, but you won't do my tasking. Ever since you were little, any big mess, you were right in the middle. You disappear at the mall, causing my heart to stall. Lulu, Guinness sunglasses, crushed by little asses. It's maddening what passes for love these days. When I turn around, you're under my feet. When I want to sit down, you're in my seat. You kick me under the table when I take you out to eat. You beg me for food, but then you don't eat it. You ask for my advice, but then you don't heed it. You ask me a question, but don't listen to the answer. My anger grows like a raging cancer. I give you an inch, but you take a mile. Mommy, how come you never smile? How come you always spill your drink? Can't bring your dishes to the sink. What's that on your shirt? Ink? Go take a shower. Boy, you stink. You make a mess faster than I can clean it. I throw junk away from the trash and you glean it. Clean up your room and I mean it. Don't roll your eyes at me. I've seen it. I want you to help me clean up this place. And you have the nerve to make that face? Let me help you out, Ace. Without me, you have no space. You better go clean up your home base and get the heck out my face. If I had $1 on my shelf, every time I had to say hands to yourself, I could go off by myself, where it's better for my health, and I can keep all my wealth. I'm worried someone might get hurt when all you care about is dessert. But you threw up on your birthday cake. How much more must I take? You tell me that my hair is gray, but you made it that way. Arguing with everything I say, no negotiating today. Boy, go outside and play. But there was a string, so I had to pull it. You made me hungry for a bullet. You go ahead on, keep acting like a fool, and I'm gonna send you to that boarding school. You poured hot grease down my drain. Again, you're driving me insane. You're causing me a persistent pain right on my brain. I'll cease to complain when I board the plane, taking a trip to Greece, France, or Spain. It kills me because you got the smarts. Your test scores are off the charts in reading, math, and the arts. And of course, them stinky farts. But you missed the obvious part, and every answer starts with, huh? Still, you are clever like a little fox. You can make anything out of an old box. But I know you're wearing my socks. I'm just about to change these locks and send you to that school of hard knocks. Why did I find my best sweater under your bed wetter? For worse or for better, through nice and clean, through dirty and mean, and everything in between, and every big ugly thing from my little drama queen. We'll keep you alive until you're 18. Until then, keep your hands to yourself. P.S. Mama still loves you. Yeah.
That sums it up.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
That
I
was
can
cute.
relate. I can relate.
Oh, yes, I can relate too.
What's her name called? What is her name?
Me too.
Lisa Devon, Devon.
Beautiful, beautiful.
There's Nzinga.
Yeah, we can all relate to that
Mhm.
until they leave
Oh, yeah.
home.
We still can relate to it sometime.
But we don't have them anymore. That was cute. Thanks. Very clever.
I like that.
Felt like we were watching a movie.
Yeah.
So we
Replay
have
of my life.
Nzinga. Queen Nzinga is back on the scene like a record machine.
Uh-oh.
Queen Nzinga, you ready, girlfriend? Let me unmute you. There you go. I watched the Mick Jagger did a documentary on James Brown.
Wow.
And if you haven't seen it, it's on for free on Amazon.
Okay.
Excellent
Okay.
documentary on James Brown, who I adore. I used to see him every Sunday at the Uptown Theater.
Well, we was there together.
Every Sunday. And hold up, I'll be right back. But anyway, and then Nzinga, you gonna share next?
Sure.
All right. We're
Okay.
listening.
Okay. Blessings, everyone. Peace, joy, love. I'm coming into this space now. A lot of feelings going on here. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Minneapolis a couple of times, to Minnesota, to the Twin Cities. Vast land, beautiful land. Oh, so inspiring. I could sit here and write forever. It was so beautiful. But I noticed something's different, maybe a little odd. I noticed something just didn't, it kind of felt familiar. It kind of felt like I knew her before. It kind of felt like I went around the world and there were 1,000 lakes. Above the clouds, I looked down and saw 1,000 lakes. Black is the color of my true love's hair. Black is the color of my true love's hair. This piece is for George Floyd, who just transitioned. This piece, story, poem, is for Aubrey, Trayvon, Sandra Bland, Sean King, remember him? Tamir Rice. Oh, too many names, too many losses. Black is the color of my true love's hair. 1,000 lakes, still water, water still speak to me. Mama water, speak to me, mama water. Clouded by the view, blood into breath, breath into blood, blood into breath. Minnie ha, she laughs at us too. They exterminated her people. First Nation, remember? Minnie ha, the lake. Black is the color of my true love's hair. Oh. Wading in the water, flooded by the water, 1,000 lakes, 1,000 lakes. The bow breaks inside our people. Where are the homeless? I said. It seems like an odd city without homeless. And then my brother pointed over there. There they are. And there was a bunch of teenagers, like on a barrier, like a little barricade. I said, that's not no homeless people. Might have been about 20 kids. Black is the color and none of them were Black. Are they like insects that do not appear again, like Dresden? Do they disappear? The soda, what's in the soda? What's in the soda? What's in the soda? A painting from the past. A mega mall, the biggest mall in the world. Capitalism in full force. New Age. Oh, they got every kind of holistic care you want in all the books. And New Age. Oh, classes. Oh, this is so hip. But something's wrong, something's wrong. Black is the color of my true love's hair. 60% of the police brutality reports are against Black people. Only got 6% Black people in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Black is the, and there we stare at empty lines that don't answer us anymore. Where, why, who, what, when? No, no. Black is the color of my true love's hair. I'm still writing this poem, but I hope it'll change because we've got to change now. They burnt down a precinct, the 3rd district. That's progress. He got 3rd-degree murder. They finally arrested him. That's progress, I guess. Depends on the answer. Black is the color. I'm still writing this poem. Ashe. That's it. Could you hear me?
Ashe, Ashe.
I just wrote that.
Ashe.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Good beginning. Good beginning.
Thank you.
I love it, Nzinga.
Thank you. Thank you.
I always love your work. You're so theatrical and dramatic, and it's just what we
That's
need
my
to hear.
feelings. That's my feelings. Thank you.
Good feelings.
You're
Love it.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
And I love
darling.
Michele. Michele, I love your
My
story
sister.
because nobody talks about Asbury Park, and I used to go there as a kid.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm,
It's still there.
I know.
The amusement park is still up.
I
went there
well, I would say research Asbury Park.
I went there to the amusement park.
Yeah, they had the carousel, and I went to the Stone Pony last summer to a concert. Still there.
Anyone else can comment. I'm going to go get something. I'll be back. Paul, do you want to help keep the circle going?
Unmute.
All right.
Paul, do you want to help keep the circle going?
I got you. Keep your, go take care of what you got to do.
Storytelling Irma was next, I think.
All right. I got it, Oni.
All right.
All
I'll be
right.
right back.
So, coming to the stage, Mama Irma Gardner. So those of you all who don't know, Mama Irma Gardner Hammond, she is one of the oldest co-team members that are still around. For those of you who don't know, she was recently inducted back in October in the Brother Blue Circle of Elders. And what that is, that is pretty much with the National Association of Black Storytellers. It's kind of like a lifetime achievement, Hall of Fame type situation. But it's for those who have dedicated enormous amount of their lives to the craft of storytelling, who have stepped into the space of elderhood and has a lot to share as a griot to all people. So to be inducted into that circle it's a lifetime honor.
It is.
And so because of that, anytime she's around, it's one of those things that you just tell everybody. So,
That's right.
she's been put in the work, so it never gets old. Yeah, she was inducted back in October, and so was Mama Wanda Gadget's one of our co-founders, and another co-founder, Mama Jawara Bishop. So this year we were blessed to have 3 pioneer members of our organization get into that beautiful, prestigious circle. And so that's Mama Irma. You can find her at the Stinton House. It's Dinah. She's been doing the reenactments of Dinah. How many years now, Mama?
It's been at least 17 years.
17
Wow.
years.
Maybe more
Yeah.
than that. Mm-hmm.
And so Mama
Sometimes
Irma.
I think I am dying.
Well, according to one of the murals in Germantown, you are dying. If you go to the YWCA, historic YWCA, on their building, they have the women of Germantown on as a mural. And so there is no photo of Dinah, the woman that she has spent so many years reenacting, but because she has spent so much time dedicating to the story of Dinah, they felt that the face of Dinah should be Irma Gardner Hammond. So
yeah,
she does it well.
You see Irma, you see Dinah. When you see Dinah, you see
that's true.
So just that's some powerful branding when you can reenact so much that someone uses your likeness to represent them in history in public. That's saying a lot. So Mama Irma, take it away.
Now, see, I wasn't even going to tell tonight.
You drop something on.
A storyteller has to be ready at any time. So, in keeping with what's going on today, I'll tell a story that you heard before, but it's my true story, things that happened to me. And I have to not forget this. Those of you that know me know that I grew up, I'm a child of the 60s. And when I was coming up, I got introduced to civil rights. I went to a segregated school. My town was segregated. Everybody knew their place and stayed in it, until I was a young teenager and the Freedom Riders came. I got so excited about it because I became aware that separate wasn't equal and nothing was equal in that town anymore. I went back to rely on what my grandmother had always said. When people know better, they do better. So I didn't have a lot of bitterness. I just thought the people just didn't know any better, and we got to get this thing straightened out. No longer were they going to call grown men boys and have domestics working for them and calling them girls. No longer were we satisfied with going to the upstairs of the movie that we paid for, just like the white folks paid for, but we had to go upstairs and pay our quarter and sit up in the balcony. We were kind of tired of this. The thing that really got me is a summer job. Now, I was a pretty smart child. I took the academic course, and in the summer, I wanted to work with Ma Bell Telephone Company, but that was reserved for all the white girls. And I had to go to Mr. Hank's clam factory. I'll never forget it. I didn't eat clams until I was after 22 years old because that smell always stayed with me. I worked that summer like a dog trying to make enough money for school. So when the Freedom Riders came and I learned about them, I was so excited. I came home to my mother and I said, the Freedom Riders are coming to town and I'm going to ride with them. She said, no, you're not. I thought my mother had lost her mind. But Mom, I didn't ask her what she meant, But I said, but Mom, I want to go. It's not safe for you to go. You're not going. I didn't understand. I said, but we got to change things around this town. I really want to go. I said, don't go down there messing with those crazy people. Your father could lose his job. Everybody knows it's in this town. Don't you know that up north people are getting hosed down and children are getting sick by dogs? Oh, that's not going to happen to me, Mom, because my schoolmates are going. Eddie Green going. Oh, you and Eddie Green. Eddie Green could jump off the Empire State Building. I guess you'd be right behind him, wouldn't you? No, but we're going to be safe. We're going to be safe, Mom. I don't want to hear no more about it. And that was it. Now, usually I'm an obedient child, and whatever my mother and father told me, I try to go along with it. Because, I didn't want to get embarrassed by doing something wrong. Because I thought when you did something wrong, everybody was going to know it, because that's the way our town was. It would be in front of the Eastern Star Democrat, our paper. It would say, Ernest Gardner's granddaughter in trouble. And I didn't want that. So I always knew how to behave myself. Well, sir, I thought and I thought, and I didn't want to be disobedient, but I had to do what my heart was telling me to do. And I said, Mom, in the home economics class, we have to make these skirts, and I need a button, and I don't have a button holder, and I want to finish up my project. Can I go over Elsie Mae's house and finish up the project? She has a button holder on her machine. I said, yeah, Dad, take you over her house. We didn't have no SEPTA buses and things like that. We lived in the country. We either had to walk, take a bike, or have your daddy take you. Well, that Saturday morning, I went over to Elsie Mae's house. She was one of my best friends. And we were making buttons all right, but we made buttons that said, we shall overcome. Freedom now. Yes, sir. We had all kinds of buttons we were making because we were getting ready to go to that freedom rally no matter what. I don't know if we thought we were going to be invisible or what, but we went to the Asbury United Methodist Church. Jeannie, her brother, took us. And when you go to Asbury Methodist Church for a rally, it was something like you've never been to before. All the preachers sound like Martin Luther King. And they was riling us up. And everybody was saying yes, and everybody was saying amen, and we're out here for freedom, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're for peace. This is a peaceful march, non-violence, and we were fired up and ready to go, because we were going to change the world now. We were the young people, and we were going to change the world. You can't stop us. Well, sir, it was the first time we had been with Black and white children our age, and we were going up on the main street in town, and we were going to march, and we were going to sing, and we were going to carry our freedom signs. And that's what we did. And people were out there looking at us, and the white people's face was turning red, and they were mad. They knew us. Everybody knew everybody in that town. I was looking around to see if I saw my uncles or my dad or somebody, see if I was in trouble. Finally, we went into Reed's drugstore where they had a soda fountain. Now, we were allowed to buy anything in that store that we had money for, but we were not allowed to sit at that counter and have a hamburger and a Coke. It's an ordinary thing. But this day, we sat right up there, and we weren't going to move until we got our hamburger and our Coca-Cola. And we sat there, and they said they wouldn't serve us, but we were, yeah, we said, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We sat there and we sang, and this old lady, I'll never forget her, she must have been about 90, and she happened to be white, and she came over and said, that's right, children. Y'all just stay right there. Be like a tree planted by the waters. You don't have to be moved. And we sat there and we got served. Victory was ours. We had done something. We had done something that nobody else had done in that town. And we were happy. You couldn't tell us nothing now. We had that victory and we were going for another victory. We were going to go out on Highway Route 50. Ocean Gateway is called now. But in those days, it was a bunch of truck stops, little restaurants, no McDonald's and Burger King and all that like it is now. Just a few little stops. And the one stop that I really wanted to go to was H&G's restaurant. They were known for the famous Maryland crab cakes. All those things were big, and you had macaroni and cheese with them and stewed tomatoes. And I really wanted that meal. And I knew it was good because my cousins worked there back in the kitchen. You couldn't see them out front, but they was there. I knew they're cooking, and I knew it was clean. I knew that. So marched my little self right up to the counter. Now, I wasn't too big a girl back then, maybe about 98 pounds if you put a little water on me. And I marched up there and had that victory in my belly, and I thought that this is it. We're going to be in the newspaper, but we're going to be proud. Well, sir, I'm sitting there ready to be served. Had placed my order. I knew I was going to be served. I looked up and coming right toward me was something very scary. A big, ugly, snagger-tooth, greasy-haired white man coming to me like a bull, like he was just coming right toward me. Well, he came right over to me, picked me up off of that stool, and threw me out the door on the gravel. Well, there was a number of them that got thrown out, but we had to be nonviolent. All I could do was lay there and hurt. We had one black policeman in town, Officer Ely. I was saying, where's Officer Ely now? I was looking around for him. Well, the police cars came, but they took us. Took us right down to that county jail. I should have been scared, but the excitement of it all said, I'm doing something. This is a movement. They moved us into that jail. Me and Elsie met. And what kept us going was the songs that they were singing. Oh, you could hear this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I said, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. All those cells were rocking. There was one cell was like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved, and victory is mine. Victory is mine. We were just singing and clapping, and we were just getting into it. We were on fire. Well, sir, something happened. I heard some famous footsteps that I knew who they belonged to. It was the footsteps of my parents. Now, my father was 6'1", still is, and he walked with big thumps. And my mother was right behind him because she was about 5 feet even, and she had to walk twice as fast to keep up with him. So while he was going bump, 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 she was going bump, 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 bump. I knew it was them. I should have known they had to call somebody to get us out of jail. What was I thinking? I said, oh, Elsie Mae, we's in trouble now. We ain't gonna never see the sight of day. Well, Elsie Mae didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. And soon my father came in. They opened that door. It seemed like everything just rattled and shook. He stood up over me and he gave me that look. You know, you ever have that look where you don't have to say nothing, but just drop an eye on you? And I started talking. Daddy, I just had to do it. You know, we here trying to get some freedom. And he said, didn't your mother tell you not to go down there and mess with them people? Yes, sir. But then we was all doing it. We were here for freedom. Grandma said, if you know better, you do better. We just trying to teach them a little bit better so that they give you some respect and so that you would get a better paycheck and so that we could move in a bigger house and so that we can get a better education, all these things. And I kept talking and talking and talking. And I noticed he wasn't saying anything. So I stopped talking. And he said, okay. My mother, she was still worried about, look at that scar on her knee, Raymond. She's all scraped up and banged up. They hurt her. He said, no, hon, she ain't hurt. Not yet. And I thought something was going to happen. So he said, now you really believe in this stuff, don't you? You believe that one day there's going to be freedom? You believe that you can be a part of it? You've been reading them history books, and I know you're a smart girl. I said, yes, sir, Daddy. I believe in what I'm doing. He said, well, if you believe in what you're doing, I'm not giving you a punishment, but I'm going to demand that you stick with what you're doing and what you believe in your heart. You carry it out through your life and never give up. And that's what we have to do now. What we believe in, those of us that believe in freedom, we have to keep it up. Always know the right side to be on. Thank you very much.
Okay. I know instrument. I need to get an instrument. Beautiful. Beautiful, mama. Beautiful.
Yes. I'm sorry for long-winded, but that's really what
No, that
it
was wonderful. Good. That's good. Had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Phenomenal.
It was really good. And
that was great.
What your father said, it reminds me, Ella Baker said, we who believe in freedom cannot rest.
That's right.
Yeah.
That isn't it amazing how no matter what we're dealing with, the the voices of our ancestors ever
Yes,
relevant,
yes.
Yes.
ever relevant.
Always.
It's like they were saying something and they had the foresight that they knew we were still gonna be fighting. And that's powerful to know that we always have a source of people who came before us to give us something that we need right now. It is beautiful. All right, well, I'm gonna give it back to Mama Oni. She's back. We behaved while you were gone.
Yep, we were good.
Well, I don't have to do this every Friday. We can all take turns hosting.
But you do a good job.
I try to be fair. So,
all right, do you want me to keep going?
Yes, I do, because I have a story I want to do.
Oh, good.
Y'all see how fast she said that? Yes.
Carry on.
All right. Well, coming to the stage is our own Mama Oni. She's the one who originated this Stories in the House, and it's been uplifting for not just keepers of the culture, but the friends of Kosi who have come and have something to look forward to every Friday evening. We are here because Mama Oni took the initiative to be like, she's like, I'm gonna do it whether you do it or not. So just get on board. Might as well do it with me.
That's right. That's right.
So we are grateful for her never-ending passion and zeal for the craft of the storyteller, and specifically for our organization and building our capacity and keeping our own fire burning. So without any further ado, she looks lit up pretty well to me. Go ahead, Mama Oni.
Well, thank you, Paul, because I just needed to be, with the group. I had to be with all of y'all. I couldn't go underground without being with my peeps, okay? So, I just couldn't let this get by, and I'm so glad. Thank you for allowing me to do this. How many of you are familiar with the National Association of Black Storytellers? Yay. Well, I didn't know I had a really nice friend in that group named Sharon Holly.
Oh, yeah.
Sharon Holly was doing a newsletter, and I don't know if any of you have read it before, but I have a story that I'm trying to learn, and it's a personal story, which I rarely ever tell. Usually, I do Paul Dunbar. I'm doing on a non-C series for the library in Tobago. But this story is called Just Like Him. Did anybody read it? It was published in the NAB's newsletter.
No,
it was in 2015.
Oh, okay.
It's called Just Like Him, and it's dedicated to Hugh Brother Blue Morgan.
Wow.
Who we were going to show the video of a Brother Blue in the Black Storyteller Speak video, but I was told that it's very noisy. It was too noisy when we played it from the DVD last week. But when we get out of this COVID thing, I'm hoping we can all get together in person and watch segments from this video DVD that I produced for Code C and interviewed Brother Blue. Maybe next week I'll get to show him. So Brother Blue, when I met him, he had butterflies. He's a PhD from Harvard University, but he told stories in Boston, barefoot. He's one of those mad geniuses that will never come again in storytelling world. He's respected by all storytellers. So when I met him, he reminded me of my father, because I had my daddy was so outgoing, and they used to call him Wild Bill. I wrote this because I was going to leave my persona as my character, Dunbar. So this is the story. I hope it's not too long.
Go ahead, girl.
Go ahead.
As I organized stories for a school assembly, I compiled my choice stories and poems on index cards. I want to tell them all. I paused to reflect on something that I read years ago. It comes to light in my present consciousness. Finally, at 62, I am reconnecting with my past to write of childhood memories before I forget. Once I read, and I paraphrase, whatever you have a passion for as a child under the age of 10, it would or should be the occupation you pursue as an adult. Today, remembering the quote brought many tears to my eyes. On this day, I'm switching off my historical fictional character of Paul Laurence Dunbar's Liza's mother and turning on my modern new school persona of Oni Lasana, the storyteller. Holla! In joyful tears, I call my big sister Cheryl to ask her if she remembers how old I was when our mother would stand at the screen door. I can still see my mother watching me as I skipped the 3 houses down the block to Mr. and Mrs. Clark's front porch on Huntington Street in North Philly. Cheryl says yes. I was about 3 or 4. I asked my sister if she knew that I used to act out for the neighbors, pretending I was Shirley Temple, how I would sing all her songs, and I would recite every nursery rhyme I knew by heart. We laughed. She said it was her job to comb my hair and dress me up, and I was way cuter than Shirley Temple. I told my sister about the quote and how I was feeling overwhelmed with joy as I prepared to honor my role as a storyteller. It felt like a sacred moment, how I am presently overwhelmed with gratitude to be hired and compensated for something I have loved doing since I was 4 years old. Why didn't I think of doing this storytelling thing sooner?
We all say that.
Mr. and Mrs. Clark was a Black couple that lived on our block of row homes. They both worked on the main line for the same wealthy white family. I always admired them in their black and white uniforms walking to the Lehigh Avenue bus stop together. Sometimes Mr. Clark drove a big black car and wore a shiny black Captain Kangaroo hat. I just knew he was a general or a captain of some huge ship that sailed the 7 seas. In reality, he was a dapper chauffeur, and Mrs. Clark an elegant, very well-dressed maid. Mrs. Clark wore a little dead mink animal around the collar of her winter coat. His eyes would glare at me when she lifted me up to kiss me on the cheek. She was very stylish, even out of uniform. Next door to the Clarks lived Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a white couple. I had no idea what they did for a living, but whenever Mr. and Mrs. Clark wasn't around, Mrs. Smith would coax me onto her porch with sweets and cookies, so I would entertain them, front row center. Well, the warmth I felt from Mr. and Mrs. Clark and Mr. and Mrs. Smith fulfilled my longing for grandparenting love. My mother lived far away in Louisiana. My daddy's kinfolk way down in Cross, South Carolina. On both couples' days off, they would sit on their steel iron glider and rocking chairs on adjacent porches. Separated by a rose-designed cast iron railing, I would sashay up and down from one porch to the other, march in place, dance and twirl, while hollering at the top of my voice, little voice I had, the ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. 10 little Indians sleeping in the bed, and the little one said, roll over, and Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier, on the good ship, Lollipop. What a nice trip to the candy shop. I go on and on and on, acting out and singing every song I knew, telling every story and rhyme I could remember. Mother often read to me from our leather-bound red childcraft books. We were also the proud owners of the World Book Encyclopedia. and mother had scrimped and saved to pay on time for both sets of books. When I was older, mother used to tell me I would pretend that I could read. My little finger moving across the book, I would sit on our front steps, book in hand, retelling every story so animated that people in the neighborhood would ask my mom, "Can that little girl really read?" Long before kindergarten, my most favorite story, this is for you guys, was Kitty Conga. I knew it by heart. Kitty Conga's story was recorded on one of the many red 45 records my mom would play to engage me for hours, trapped in my playpen in the living room. A lady's voice, the storyteller, told of a girl who was an outsider in her town. Oh, because she walked so strange. She and I danced and sang out together on the daily. Nobody loves me, nobody likes me. 'Cause when I walk like 1, 2, 3, kick. 1, 2, 3, kick. Well, Kitty Conga eventually found acceptance and love when a music band came to town. She was the only one who naturally walked in sync with the band's music. In the end, everyone in town lined up behind her and copied her style of walking. Everyone sang along with Kitty Conga in a Spanish accent. Everybody love me, everybody love me. 'Cause when I walk like 1, 2, 3, kick. 1, 2, 3, kick. I loved Kitty Conga's story of overcoming, triumph of the underdog. I thought she was a real person. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized it was a recording that taught the popular conga line dance in the mid-1950s. I Googled Kitty Conga a few years ago, but had no success in finding my muse. Guess I'll have to rewrite the story myself, because you storytellers can rewrite and tell it too. One day, Mrs. Clark took me inside her spotless kitchen. Sometimes I stay so long chatting up a storm, eating all the goodies and delicious food she served me on her flower-trimmed china. Oh, my mother would call her on the phone. Send her home. One day, Mrs. Clark reached up high over the fridge for the envy of my eye, the white ceramic Aunt Jemima cookie jar. The brown face on the cookie jar looked stern and scolding, but it made me laugh. Her head was a brown knob that lifted up from her folded arms, rested under the bust of her waist. Her wide dress had cookies written across the bottom of the pleated stone skirt. Oh, Mrs. Clark had given me cookies from inside her dress for years. I was about 7 or 8 by then. And on this very special day, Mrs. Clark took her beloved Aunt Jemima cookie jar and placed it in my arms. She wrapped both my arms around the cookie jar. She said, "Here, sweetheart, this is for you. You take good care of her, okay?" I was finally speechless. I looked inside and it was filled with Mrs. Clark's homemade oatmeal raisin cookies. I put my cheeks to the warm cookie jar and I cried. I carefully put the jar on the table and I pulled Mrs. Clark down to me, hugging her tightly. I looked up at Mrs. Clark's loving brown face and saw tears in her eyes. Mr. and Mrs. Clark had no children. I was their one and only big mouth wannabe Shirley Temple little storytelling girl. I clutched the cookie jar to my heart and carefully ran home, jumping for joy as I danced into the living room. I ran and plopped down next to my mother on the sofa, hugging my cookie jar. Half sitting in her lap, I was elated. Mother was sitting on her French provincial plastic-covered sofa on the phone. "Look, Mommy, look. Look at what Mrs. Clark gave me." She was on the phone talking to her mother in some kind of French Creole. "Shh, I'm on the phone." She put her arms around my shoulders and gently covered my mouth with her soft hand. She spoke back to her mother in English. I clearly recognized. "Yes, it's my baby. the littlest one, Wild Billy. She's so crazy and full of stories, just like him. She laughed. William Henry Morris of Cross, South Carolina was my daddy. When I was born, he asked my mom, "Where's me?" I looked so much like my mother. I still look just like my mother on the outside, but on the inside, I'm just like him, Wild Bill. I've always remembered that day, especially what my mother said about my intelligent, vivacious, gregarious, charming dad. But the storytelling part never made any real sense to me until today.
Oh, wow.
That is a wonderful story. That is
Okay.
Beautiful.
I could see you.
And you know, I still have,
Fabulous.
let me show you my cookie jar.
Oh, you still have it?
I'm like, you probably still have.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my
Wish you could
God.
see.
That is remarkable. That is remarkable.
That is so cool.
We too good.
I wrapped up the story and put it in the cookie jar.
Nice.
It's a McCoy. It's a McCoy cookie jar.
Wow.
See here?
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yeah. Oh
Woo.
my God. Never get rid of it.
I went to a Black memorabilia thing. See the McCoy?
Yeah, how old is she?
Well, I got her in the 50s.
Wow.
But and
Nice.
so I wrapped up the story and put it in the jar because I don't use her. I don't want to break her. I just keep her on top of my fridge.
That's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful. Mm.
That's
I
a-
So
enjoyed
happy I
that.
could share that with you guys, all of you all.
It's amazing. It's a beautiful
Good
story.
story, Omi. Love
I was
it.
waiting for something
story.
bad to happen. I'm glad nothing did.
Good.
On NPR, there's a show
Happy ending.
called, on NPR, there's a show called This American Life that comes
Yeah.
on every week. I love it. They do
Yeah.
it's all storytelling.
Yeah.
And Ira Glass, that's the name of the host. And
Oh,
Yeah.
I
he
listen-
said, there's a quote, he says, "Great stories happen to those who know how to tell them."
That's right. That's
so you
right.
think that's why she published it for me, right?
Oh, yes. It's
It was in
not
the
always.
centerfold. It was in the centerfold of the NABS newsletter.
Mm-hmm. So it's we have that gift that it's not like we do live these awesome lives, but we know how to tell the stories, and we make stories. We find beauty in the simplest things because stories are everywhere you turn your head. And when I went home to see my mom and dad for the month, every moment was a story, and it reminded me of how this is a 24/7 calling. There is no, we can rest, but even when we rest and we got stuff in our head that's just turning, and when I wake up, I'm about to write this down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, who's left to come to the stage? Let's see
Come
here.
to the square. To come to the square.
Yeah, come to the square.
Who's next is going to come to the square? This is the village square, you know. This is our village.
Let me see. We have Adrian. Did you want to say something?
Well, if you want, I mean, I can.
Yes, we want.
Mike, I do have my artwork, so everybody, I can show.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Oh,
Wow.
My work.
Sure.
The brother ain't no joke.
Thank you. That's just a bit. Well, I think I have.
You have more.
What's the story behind that piece?
Oh, that is
wow.
fabulous. Oh my
I love
goodness.
Uh-oh.
The eyes.
She
Wow.
looks like the Black Evelina.
Well, I don't know what made. I saw the movie.
Dalmatian. Dalmatian.
No, Black Panther.
Ah.
And you know how the women.
That's even better.
Oh, yeah, the markings.
With the bald head.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that movie, I had did this picture prior to the movie coming out, and so when I saw them in there with the bald head in their markings, remind me of this picture. I don't have any stories, but I dabble in genealogy, so I'm documenting people's lives and then telling the stories of my ancestors
wow.
through ancestry. I do have one book. Actually, I have books that, where did Miss Michelle, there's, everybody's talking about riots. So here's a book, if anybody can see that.
Oh, that was during the
1919, the year of racial violence.
I need a pen.
How African Americans fought back. Great. You need to write these things down. This information is valuable. Birdie, half your head is cut off.
You know what? I can't. I'm getting. I think my battery's running low.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You remember I told you I have problems with the phone,
Oh yeah, no, please.
and I'm so
I'm
pissed
back.
off.
1919.
When everybody was talking about, I was like, oh, I have books about the riots, and they called it Red Summer. So I have another
Yes.
book on Red Summer.
Yeah.
So I'll just hold it up for a little while so you can get all the author as well.
Right. Kruger.
I think that was during the time Ida B. Wells was writing the Red Book, all the lynchings that was going on in the country, and her Red record.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. And it was the end of the first.
And you talked
pandemic.
about migration. So here's
Oh,
another
yes.
book,
Good one.
Most
Yep.
deaf. Yeah.
The Warmth of Other Stories.
Have
By,
that one.
and then since you guys read poems, I have this book here. I'll pull it back.
What does that say?
It says,
Search of Color
In Search
Everywhere.
of Color Everywhere, a collection of African American poetry.
Oh, excellent.
I love that cover.
Yeah.
I got this back. I had to buy another one because
Mhm.
my old one got all messed up, and I bought this in Baltimore.
Wow, yeah.
By the harbor at the gallery.
Right,
Gallery,
right.
I think.
Yeah, that's
many
Art
years
Deco.
ago.
That's Harlem Renaissance Art
and-
Deco artwork. Mhm.
Yes, yes. There's an art.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
I love that
So
era.
there's a lot of poems from Langston Hughes, Nikki Giovanni. There is Richard White. Wright has a poem in here, which is very, very, very good. So if anybody's interested in getting that, I think you can get it on Amazon.
Would you read a poem out of the book for us, maybe next week?
You know, I'm not great at reading poems.
Sure you
For
are.
whatever reason, I'm not great at reading
You could practice with
poems.
us. You
Yes.
could practice with us.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Mama Irma, you better baptize
Welcome
them
to the
fire.
stage, Brother Adrian.
Welcome to
and
the square.
lastly,
Yes, welcome to the
lastly,
square.
since I
welcome
do
to the-
genealogy, my father's parents are from Charleston. So
Yes.
this is a book on the school that my great-grandfather, my father's father, went to, and his dad went to. It's now a museum, and it's a part of the College of Charleston.
Yes, that's a beautiful school. That's sometimes segregation wasn't always all that great for our people. You know that, right? 'Cause we
Right.
had
This was a
great
private
schools.
school.
I
And this was
know,
a
but
private school.
we had a lot of
So
private
in this-
schools.
So in this picture
Look at
here,
that.
the
Wow.
lighter skinned individual, that's my grandfather. That's my father's dad.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah, he light-skinned it.
Stop, Bonnie. Stop.
He light-skinned it like me.
Stop.
And
That's beautiful that you
and
have
this
that
is a-
record.
huh?
You should find some stories out of that book and come and tell us some next week.
There, you know, I do have a few relatives who have made their mark in within the South. One of my cousins, he sold life insurance, and his name was Arthur John Howard Clement Sr., and he sold Mutual Life Insurance, which was based in Durham, North Carolina.
North Carolina
Right.
Mutual.
Right, exactly. And his son, Arthur II, he sold life insurance. And one of his brothers married into John Wesley Dobbs' family, who was the daughter of Irene Dobbs Jackson. She was the mother of the first Black mayor of Atlanta, Maynard Jackson.
Oh wow!
Okay,
So it's interesting that I'm in a group of people who tell stories themselves, and I feel honored that I have stories of my own through my genealogy.
Beautiful.
And that's what we want to do. We want to encourage you to get involved and learn how to tell your stories. At some point, we might even have to do a Zoom workshop on how to do that, right, Paul?
Oh, yes. Why do you think I brought this brother on?
Yeah, because we want to nurture each other, you know? It's about nurturing each other.
Every time me and him talk, he got a story about a cousin who was married to so-and-so who got in a fight with Forrest Gump. And
I got you, Nadinga.
Okay. Adrian.
Yes, ma'am.
Adrian, I did hear you say that you sing. Is it possible I could trouble you for one of those gospels?
Okay, I'll sing a song.
Thank you, dear.
Great is thy faithfulness, oh God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not thy compassion, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, your hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, to me.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
My friend, that's my friend.
Yes.
Yes,
We're gonna steal them from you, Paul. We're gonna steal it.
Oh, you're ours now.
You're gonna be our friend too.
We claim
Well,
you.
I just want to say it was a beautiful night. It's almost 9 o'clock. I'm not trying to shut anybody down. If you want to speak up, speak up.
I have one announcement or one request.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister Oni.
Thank you.
You're older than me, but I can't call you mom.
Better recognize I ain't got these bags for nothing, okay?
Everybody, it was just wonderful. It was great. And I want to request that everybody, please, wherever you get your podcasts, listen to Harlem Queen.
Queen.
Harlem Queen.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Wherever you get your podcast, by my sister Yanni Smith.
All right.
And she had about 3 seconds on the ABC.
I know you putting your questions in the.
Yeah, Yanni had about 3 seconds on the ABC, the story of soaps, because they talked about soap operas from the beginning to the current time. And she had her group was doing their rehearsal, and my little sister, but I'm not going to say any more about her podcast, because when people told me The Godfather was a great movie, I went to see it, and I was just a little bit disappointed because everybody had told me how great it was. So I'm not going to tell you how great Harlem Queen is. It takes place during the Harlem Renaissance. It is the story of Stephanie St. Clair, a real-life female gangster.
Wow.
During the Harlem Renaissance.
I just downloaded it. I can't wait.
All right, Paul. I want to know.
Okay.
I want you to email me or text me something. Tell me how you like Harlem Queen.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do that. We're going to watch it and listen to it. I want to mention that I'm representing Pennsylvania for the NSN, National Storytelling Network, on June 4th at 8 o'clock. I think it's 8 o'clock. I did send around an email, and I'm going to be doing Paul Laurence Dunbar's The Party.
Oh, great.
Right.
So it's going to be Thursday. I sent around an email on it. And before I leave, it's going to be 8 o'clock on Thursday.
I might have to call Granddaddy Junebug so he could listen in.
And he can learn something. He can learn something. Listen, Junebug, Mitch already told me, he said, only I'm just a flash in the pan compared to how you deliver.
I remember
he already gave me. Yes,
when I called you during the NABS Fest on video, and he paid his dues.
No, he's been doing Dunbar longer than me, way longer than me.
Yeah.
But he just likes the way I do it. Is I don't Amos and Andy it.
Mm-hmm.
So he likes that, that it's not like Amos and Andy kind of thing. And so it's going to be 8 o'clock on NSN. Me and Ingrid Bond are representing Pennsylvania. And before I go, I wanted y'all to meet my husband. Do y'all want to meet my husband?
Yes.
Yes. Come here, honey. Come here, honey.
Yes. You make a beautiful couple.
Hey, James. James Brown.
Wow. Wow.
Like sugar and spice. Come on. So nice. So nice. I got you.
Yeah. How y'all together?
Yes.
Hey, James, good job, James.
I can see how y'all got together.
Yes. You make a lovely couple.
Yes.
James Brown and Shirley Temple. Yes. Jangles is turning over in his grave.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
I want to mention on tomorrow, I believe it's at 4 o'clock. I will find out what city, and I'll try to text people. But they're having a vigil for George Floyd. I think it's wherever he's originally from. They're having one, and it'll be online. I'm not sure if it's Facebook online or not, but I know it is tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Where did Sojourner?
So
is anybody thinking about why there's no protests in Philly?
There actually was a protest in Philly last night.
Where?
They walked up downtown.
Say that again.
They walked downtown last night to Love Park.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the news.
Well, they ain't trying to record.
They didn't report.
That's because it was peaceful.
It was peaceful.
It was peaceful.
Yeah.
It started off peaceful in Minneapolis, my niece told me.
Good point.
That's a good point,
to know.
Michelle.
Well, they censoring stuff. Y'all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the media has been trying to get something to happen ever since we've all been on lockdown. You've been seeing, you know, it's a slow news day when it's like parade after parade. All right, I'm happy for everybody getting to drive by parade. It's not that I'm hating.
No,
however,
it's real.
Yeah, it's a slow news day. So they've been waiting for something to jump off, and they've been asking people, they've been trying to get people to get something going about these masks. And they've been asking about them. Well, did anybody incite anything? I mean, I've been checking them out with the media, and they have been trying to get something to jump off for days.
Yeah, it's true.
And spin the narrative, I'm sure.
That's the one thing I agree with Trump when it's fake news, a lot of fake news. That's the one thing he says that ever made sense.
But he's the orchestrator.
The last thing he said.
Right.
He's the orchestrator of fake news.
Yes,
he is.
And he's trying to censor.
Good point, Adrian.
The huge lie, the truth ain't in him.
Right.
Adrian, I want to know why you hid that hair through the whole square cast. And
he was do-ragging
we getting ready to go, you give the old lady something to dream about.
He was do-ragging. You didn't see he had his do-rag on.
But I saw how he carefully did the reveal. He did a James Brown.
I'm too young for this conversation. I'll catch y'all later. Take care.
Slowly. And then he did a little finger flop. Oh yeah, I got my eye on you.
Listen, that's the Holy Ghost hair right there.
Yeah.
He was like,
and after the song, after he sang the gospel, and he got ready to sign the CDs in the lobby, that's when he let the hair come out. Okay.
Because my dad say, just because I didn't say nothing, don't mean I didn't see nothing.
Okay.
Well. But now open.
I like that.
Oh no.
Well, you know what the old church lady said when they said, "Mom, would you like to select a hymn?" She said, "Yeah, I'll take him and him and him."
Oh, Jesus. You ain't right. Michelle.
Oh, no.
Michelle, if you don't come back next week, I'm going to cry, okay?
All right, no, because I don't want to see you do the ugly cry. So, let me, I'm going to sing. I'm going to do my best.
Because right here, I'm getting ready to go with Michelle. We going down to AC, and I'm putting her on the stage. I'm going to be her laugh track.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
I just hope you don't be the only one laughing.
No. I can. We finna do some stand-up. We finna do some stand-up storytelling.
Okay.
We have now
had a comedian.
the hours portion of our show.
Who you shutting down?
No, I said we're about to enter the after hours portion.
Yes.
The party just started.
All right.
Okay, James.
All right. Michelle, Irma, and Birdie.
This is a collector's item right here.
See y'all.
He knows.
See you, Queen. See you, Queen.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for giving us that heartfelt the way you do your poetry. Nzinga, you're a gift. And I love your spirit to the group. Thank you, my sister friend.
Yes, your spirit is
thanks.
And I have to go because I have to explain to my husband now how I want him to grow his hair back.
Right, Adrian. We
All
gonna-
right.
You working at,
Thank you.
you add new meaning to Superfly.
Y'all better go to bed. Y'all better go to bed.
It's time now.
Oni,
What?
can I borrow James? Can I borrow James?
Look at the face.
I like him.
Oh,
He just
Okay.
listen.
This
If he
is a
try to
live
beat me up, I'll
recording.
pull out my. He just better not slap me or nothing.
James is grinning like a possum eating yellow jackets.
And how do I say that?
Keep him locked up. He's very
Y'all
special.
ain't right. Y'all is not right.
The lockdown.
I might.
Right.
Lord.
Look at Birdie kissing him. Come here, girl. Let me do that.
Hi, James. One of my
I'm
favorite
done.
singers.
Oh Lord.
Say it loud.
This is where you put the finger up at church and you
Lord.
Okay, I have a quiz. What was the girls that danced with James Brown called? What was they? Who was his girls that
Say it
danced?
again. Say it again.
I had a girlfriend named Lola Love. She danced with him. What was the names of the girls that danced with his backup group?
One was Joanne Houston. I know that for a fact.
Right. Lola Love. I had a girlfriend, Lola Love. I met in LA. She danced with him. What was the name of his group?
Wow.
Come on, y'all. This is some trivia.
The Flames? Was it the
Yeah.
Flames?
The Flames.
Flames?
yeah.
The Flames, but the Flames were
were
the
the
guys
guys.
with well, okay, what
Yeah.
famous commentator, and I know you all know this by his hair, who was once the cape man for James Brown?
Oh, no, I can't.
Wow.
A famous news commentator was once the cape man, CAPE with the cape.
Yes.
when
Yeah, I
James
saw
did
the Cape Man on the
Okay,
documentary.
so
There's
he's a
somebody
famous
different.
news commentator now, and he was the cape man for James Brown.
Don't tell me it was
Reverend Sharpton?
Al Sharpton, yes, was the cape man.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why he wears his hair like that as an homage to James
Yeah.
Brown.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
He told the story why he gave James Brown on a Soul Train Award when he was like 19, and they showed it. And Al Sharpton, his hair was in an afro, and he said he pressed his hair because James Brown had a son that died.
Yes.
And when his son died, he took Al Sharpton as his son. So that's why
Yeah, 'cause
Al
he was
Sharpton ended up wearing
on
the
Soul
process.
Train.
Yes.
He was on Soul Train.
Yep.
And the mother of that son said, because, I know somebody that knew somebody whose cousin once worked with her downtown after they took the train at night, right?
Right.
And she said that when the son died, everybody came into church and they was fanning James and they was mopping James and sweating his tears. And the poor mother, she was just falling out over the chair and didn't nobody pay her no mind. They were all fanning James.
Wow.
I can
She
believe
fell
that.
out for nothing. She fell out behind the casket. Ain't nobody, they stepped on her and kept on going.
You just walked on over.
Yeah. It's all about James.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Well, he was a great innovator, and he was strict, and he was disciplined. He was a businessman. He owned stuff. He owned his own restaurant. I mean, he was amazing, really. Other than, he knew he shouldn't be touching women, and he admitted that.
Nah, don't forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, he admitted that, but that's what he saw. He grew up in a hoe house, so I mean, that's all he saw growing up. But he was interested. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on there for free. And,
Yeah, I saw that documentary. It was really good.
Yes, I thought it was good too. I just saw it last night. And then I have him locked up in the bedroom because my husband got jealous of him. My husband said, "You can't have another man." And then he don't like when I be exercising to sex machine and get on up.
Okay, look at the time.
May the Lord.
Everybody?
Yeah, we gotta go. Night, sweetheart.
Yeah, because it's getting ready to go into Oni's Cabaret.
Yeah.
And look, she's feeling it. Look at her. Look at her. She ready.
Lord, watch between me and thee. While
All
we're
right, well, good
absent,
night, everybody.
one from
Good
another.
night.
I got you.
It was good tonight, y'all.
Love y'all. See you next Friday.
Bye.
Free
Okay,
stories in the house. Love you guys. Have a great week.
Good
Love
night.
you.
Good night.
On Monday,
Good night,
Star
everyone.
Paul.
Thanks for coming
Adrian,
on,
thanks for
Adrian.
coming through.
You're
We hope to
welcome.
see you next week. I want to hear some stories about your people.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We'll do.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Irma, I love you.
Love
You
you.
revolutionary.
Everybody. Thank you
My
so
sister,
much. I'm leaving.
Love y'all. See you Monday at 2 o'clock for Love Night.
right, committee meeting.
Okay.
Right. 2 o'clock Monday. Peace and love. Peace and
Peace.
love.
Peace and love. Good night.
Oh my God.
See y'all. Good night.